La formación del presente del subjuntivo. ¿Cuándo usamos el presente del subjuntivo? Moods in Spanish are made up of different verb tenses. You were first introduced to the indicative mood as early as your first day of Spanish when you learned verb tenses such as the present tense, the present indicative, preterite, imperfect, and much more. Today, you are introduced to the subjunctive mood in one of its verb tenses, which is the present subjunctive. Por ejemplo, ojalá que tengas buen fin de semana. ¿Cómo formamos el presente del subjuntivo? To form the present subjunctive for regular verbs, you're going to do 3 different steps. So first, you're going to conjugate the verb in its yo form, the first person singular, but the yo form. Second, you're going to take off the final O of that yo form. And third, you're going to add the opposite ending. So if you have an AR verb, the ending is going to change to an E. And if you have an ER or an IR verb, you're going to change to an A. In other words, what you're doing is something that I like to call yo chop flop. So in our example here with the verb bailar, we have the verb bailar in the yo form, bailo. We chop off the final O, and then we flop the ending because bailar is an AR verb, it becomes baile for Juan. So yo espero que Juan baile conmigo. ¿Cuándo usamos el presente del subjuntivo? The present subjunctive can only be used when a subordinate clause is present. You can see my little star asterisk here. So at the bottom, there are exceptions to this rule, such as after words such as quizás, tal vez, posiblemente, or probablemente. We're not going to worry about those in this PowerPoint, however. So in other words, for a subordinate clause, what we mean is you need to have 2 subjects in the word que. You have to have all 3 of those things. So in our example sentence here, we have Yo quiero que mi familia venga este verano a Iowa City. So my 2 subjects, the first one is yo. My second one is mi familia, and the que connects those 2. The 2 clauses and the 2 subjects. So let's go back to forming the present subjunctive. We're going to practice this with an AR verb, an ER verb, and an IR verb, just like we do in all the grammar videos. Remember yo chop flop, and let's start with the verb hablar, our AR verb. You have the subjunctive endings here for you, because since it's AR, it's going to flip to E and all of its variations. So just like with every grammar video, go ahead and pause this video, write down the conjugations yourself, and the next slide will have the answers. Here are the present subjunctive endings for verbs that end in AR, such as hablar. Note that there is a written accent only on the vosotros form, otherwise you don't need to worry about an accent. And then also note that the conjugations are the same for the yo form and the el, ella, usted forms. Context is important when you're using these forms in a sentence. Let's practice again, this time with an ER verb such as comer. Remember yo chop flop. Now our ending is an ER verb, so it's going to switch and flop to A. You have the box of your endings here, so pause the video, write out your conjugations, and the next slide will have the answers. Here are the present subjunctive endings for verbs that end in ER, such as comer. Remember, accent only on the vosotros form, and remember that the yo and el, ella, usted forms are the same. If you're using them in a sentence, that context is important. Here's our last verb to practice with, an IR verb, escribir. Remember yo chop flop. We've provided you the endings. Pause this video and write them out. The next slide will have the answers. And here are the present subjunctive endings for the verbs that end in IR. One more thing to talk about is the importance of yo chop flop. As you become more comfortable and quicker with conjugating verbs in the present subjunctive, don't forget the importance of conjugating the verbs in the yo form first. It's very typical to get going fast as you get more comfortable, and maybe for the verb tener saying something like tengo. But you have to remember that a verb like tener is a great example of why you put the verb in the yo form first, because the yo form of tener is tengo, which makes your conjugations in the subjunctive tenga, tengas, tengama, tengamos, things like that. Vamos a practicar. We have 2 sentences here to fill in the blanks. You have an AR verb pasar and an IR verb decir. Go ahead and pause this video, and the next slide will have your answers. Número 1. Ojalá que Sara pase tiempo conmigo esta noche. I hope that Sarah spends time with me tonight. Número 2. Quiero que tú me digas la verdad. I want you to tell me the truth. Remember, we needed to have 2 subjects and a que, so if you notice in number 2, quiero que is the yo form, and then I'm talking to you, too. So those are my 2 subjects, and with the que.